Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Magnolia Shine Podcast. This is our 9th episode right here. I'm Trellis Williams. With me, of course, the one and only Blake Levine. Blake's with us, and Blake, glad to have you again. We're back.
Yeah. I'm sorry about everything. I'm traveling. That's why I'm in the airport. And this phone, it's going to be a little movement here, right?
Oh, yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good. We just want to hear what you're thinking, man. After week 3, we had a big week in high school football, and obviously, let's just start with the headline: Brookhaven knocking off Madison Central. And listen, this was a game that we both respected Brookhaven. We both had a lot of respect for Brookhaven. We both picked Madison Central, but I know that I thought it was going to be a good game. But Brookhaven was able to take the win in overtime. What did you think about that, Blake?
Yeah, well, first off, kudos to Brookhaven for actually winning that game because I did not see that coming, and I don't even think you saw that coming. And I guess that's what makes high school football so good. And we said before the season that we thought that Brookhaven could be a title contender, but then we saw what West Point did earlier in the year, and we said, oh, okay, well, this is kind of West Point's to lose. Well, all of a sudden, Brookhaven is saying, not so fast. They're not just a heavy favorite. They're maybe a light favorite, and you should think a little bit more about us. When it comes to Madison, that's a tough loss. I understand Brookhaven's really good. Their quarterback's amazing. Their D-line's good. That team is serious. But at the same time, if you're Madison, you are just kicking yourself because you had Brandon on the ropes. You were up 7-0. And then you lose to Brookhaven on the road. Yeah, Madison's feeling tough while Brookhaven is on sky high.
Now, for Madison, I mean, they're in a position where, of course, we're not even in region play yet, so they really need to get things tight for that. They've got a young team. So they do have, obviously they have room for improvement, and they're able to see that now. But Brookhaven was able to show them. We talked about this preseason that Brookhaven and Madison Central were playing each other, and that Madison Central wouldn't put them on the schedule if they didn't think it was going to be a challenge. But I'm sure they were not thinking about losing, though.
No, not at all. Because, they may not say this out loud, but Madison doesn't think they should lose any game, especially to a school that's 2 classifications below. And that's not taking anything away from Brookhaven. That's just the way that Madison feels about their football team. They feel like they should never lose a football game, especially to anyone that's outside of 7A. So when they lose that game, you start to wonder, like, well, who is the second best team? Or is Madison the best team in their own region? Obviously, because Tupelo went to the other one. So it starts to make you think, like, where are they in that really tough district? Is Clinton now the best team?
Possibly. They showed well against Brandon, did not get the win, but they were on the road. And so let's just jump right into that one. Clinton and Brandon, 14-9 win for Brandon. We both picked Brandon to win that game, but Clinton, they have shown nothing so far this year that shows that they are not a great team. They might even be a great team.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I think Clinton has to be one of the most surprising teams that we've had in this early season. Now, we also had Brandon that's a little bit surprising because we didn't expect what happened to Tupelo. And I guess, part of me is a little concerned about Brandon because of these close games. And they were supposed to be this overwhelming team in the South that was on I don't want to say easy path to the state title, but it was like, okay, someone's going to have to beat them. And now I have Ocean Springs as the best team in the South. But when it comes to Clinton, I'm starting to think to myself, Germantown lost to Warren Central. Maybe Clinton is serious, and maybe that loss just wasn't what we thought when it came to Warren Central, and Clinton's actually the real deal.
Seriously, because now let's go to Warren Central. Warren Central goes and beats Germantown by a decent amount. So Warren Central in 6A, are they right back in that title conversation? Because you had them preseason as your favorite to win. I think you still probably are going to go with Picayune at this point. I still have Picayune as a favorite, but Warren Central jumps right back in the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a 1A, 1B right now when it comes to 6A, and that is Picayune and Grenada. Now the question is who is that third team? Who's possibly that second team? Who could make a upset run to the title? And I feel better about Warren Central again. All of a sudden, I mean, when they beat Germantown, you're like, oh, okay, this team is who I expected them to be. So I guess the season's just kind of filling out, and we're kind of learning, like, okay, some of these maybe weren't as big surprises as we thought. So I feel a lot better about Warren Central, and all the bad things I say, I give back.
Well, see, and here's another thing, too. Germantown gets beat pretty good. Well, they get beat by Warren Central. They're able to put up a lot of points, but they get beat by Warren Central. And then the team they beat last week was Oak Grove, and then Oak Grove just absolutely stomps Hattiesburg 48-7. And they're able to shut Hattiesburg down completely.
Yeah, we talked about this. Hattiesburg's in for a long season, right? I mean, last year they beat Oak Grove and it was really exciting. Hattiesburg just hasn't shown enough, early in the season to make me think that they're a title contender, even, 3 weeks in, even with some
Yeah.
of the tough games. Because their only win now is Laurel, and Petal loses to Columbia, and how's that loss now looking? So, again, it goes back to this idea that things are starting to fill out a little bit, and we're starting to be like, okay, well, that wasn't a surprise. It may have been a surprise preseason. It's not a surprise now. And when it comes to Oak Grove, they really needed that. I mean, they really needed that, especially after those first 2 weeks. I understand that it was a
Yeah,
close
they
game to
did.
start, Bill, and lost on the last point, but the reality was is they gave up 57 points. So even if they don't score that touchdown late, they still give up 51. So it still never felt good, and Germantown could have scored 100 points the week before. I still think Oak Grove's defense has a long way to go, but maybe those rumors and what people were saying about the idea that they had 9 starters out of their 22 those first 2 weeks, maybe there was something to it.
And then, so now we're going to turn our attention to Ocean Springs and Pascagoula. This is a game that went Ocean Springs' way, but by a touchdown. And so when we have these conversations about 6A, we just talked about Warren Central. Obviously, Picayune continues to roll. They get a win over Biloxi. Now Ocean Springs, who we view as being a big-time contender in 7A, they scrape by Pascagoula. And so Pascagoula has to be looking good in 6A right now.
Yeah, that was actually one of the most surprising outcomes we saw coming, but not the way that it happened. As in, we both expected Ocean Springs to win, but we did not expect that to be a one-score game. In
Yeah.
which case, again, it goes back to, was Ocean Springs just overlooking them? Because I've been really impressed with Ocean Springs early in this year. So I'm going to take this more as they were maybe overlooking them, and Pascagoula is just a little bit better because, even on my TikTok, people were messaging me saying, hey, watch out for Pascagoula. Watch out for Pascagoula. They're really good early. They're really good early. Well, this was their first test, and although they didn't win, they passed.
Yeah, yeah. And then we saw Grenada take on Callaway. And listen, Grenada handles Callaway 28-0, but it was actually 28-0 at the half. So the second half was just 0-0. So Grenada did dominate Callaway. But Callaway had started off the season with very convincing wins. Now they played Forest Hill and Murrah, but they beat them by a lot of points, like beat them 30 plus in both games. So Callaway looks like they're probably going to have a little bit of a better season this year, and they've got some size and everything. They can run the ball, but Grenada, just super strong, super disciplined, and Grenada able to take care of business, and they jump out to a 3-0 start.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, Grenada probably took their foot off the gas in the second half, which I find kind of interesting because, even a 4 touchdown lead, I would think that they would go out and score a few touchdowns. So maybe you got to give Callaway some credit there. Where does Callaway stand? I still think that they're somewhere near the middle of their classification,
I
maybe a
would say
little
that.
bit above.
Yeah.
But I was surprised because I really liked their coach last year, and he goes to Canton, and this new coach coming in, and he's got them playing really well. So you got to give them credit. And look, at the end of the day, even if Murrah is down, that's still a good win for Callaway.
It is. And so Callaway takes on Terry this week, and I'll actually be on the call for that one. But that'll be a good chance for both of those teams to show where they are because, Callaway's 2-1 with a loss to Grenada, which no shame in that, of course. Terry's 3-0, so you're able to kind of see what's this looking like at this point in time. Then we move on to talking a little bit of Ridgeland and Vicksburg. So this was the game that, you picked Ridgeland to win this. I picked Vicksburg to win this. Ridgeland ended up handling Vicksburg. Vicksburg had a 2-0 start, but, Ridgeland proved to be a little bit too much there.
Yeah, Ridgeland, I mean, it's starting to become a little bit clearer to me that they are one of the, next level teams in their class. And, maybe they're not the title contender, but they're right there, right? Because to me, I thought Vicksburg's early season schedule, they were 2-0, but I just didn't feel like they played anyone of worth. And they finally played someone that, had a really solid team, and Ridgeland handled them. I think Vicksburg's still a year away, but I think that they're closer than they were the year before. So for me, I do think Vicksburg's on the upward trend. I just think that Ridgeland's a little bit better than we all thought they were going to be. You know, they do have one of
Yeah.
those high level recruits on their team. I don't know why I'm blanking on the name right now. Maybe because I'm in the Dallas, Texas airport right now. But no, Ridgeland really impressed. And, their coach, he actually came from Vicksburg. So, he probably had a little extra that game.
Yeah. No, seriously, that was an interesting coaching situation there. Petal and Columbia, this one was, I can't say it was a shocker, even though I did pick Petal to win this game. But I can't say it's a shocker because, man, Columbia is just showing that they're a really good team, and they're 4A. Columbia wins against Petal.
Yeah, in my weekly rankings this week, we put Columbia the number one 4A school, and that's got to be tough for the Louisville and the Poplarville faithful, who those teams were assumed as no doubt they'll meet in the finals again, and we'll see what happens this time. Well, Columbia might just be the best team, and some people were like, "Well, their schedule." I'm like, "What do you mean about their schedule?" I think their schedule's been very impressive, going up 3 classifications and beating Petal, and then beating arguably the second or third best private school teams in Hartfield that was the back-to-back MEIS champ that has a 5-star and going on the road and beating them. Columbia's been, again, in that top 10 most impressive teams in the early season.
Definitely. I'm going to have to keep, in my book, they're number 2. I still have Louisville number 1. In just my opinion, just because they were this close to beating West Point first game. And I'm still so high on West Point. But
yeah, but Knoxville. Yeah, but what about Knoxville being, beat up early in that game and then taking them to the fire?
That's right. Well, I mean, listen, that's what's so fun. Just like you said, that's what's so fun about high school football. We'll just have to see, because then in a couple of weeks we're going to see West Point and Tupelo, and we'll see. Now we expect that Tupelo would probably win that game just because they're the number 1 team in the state right now, and there's just, you can't argue with it until somebody knocks them off. But I think that'll be an interesting one to kind of tell us where we are with that as well. But
can I say something about Tupelo?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I say something about I don't think Tupelo's thrown for 50 yards combined this whole season yet.
No, they're going Wildcat.
I mean, they don't even have to throw the ball. They're one-dimensional on offense, and it's not close.
Yeah, but they do. Everybody knows what they're going to do, but they do it anyway. That just shows.
By the way, that just shows you how good of a team they are.
That's greatness right there. Yes, we see Louisville take on Holmes County Central, and it's competitive there. Louisville wins though, but it's competitive that we see there. Holmes County Central a little bit bigger than they are. Good.
Yeah, no, absolutely no. Holmes County actually played a lot better than I thought they were going to play. And again, maybe that's me underestimating Holmes County and maybe not giving them the respect that they deserve. Because, they put up some points in that game. And that makes me feel a lot better about Holmes County in Friday. Louisville, I thought they were going to handle this game a little bit more. But you know what? Holmes County, I got to give them credit in this game.
So from week 3, Blake, we've talked about these games right here. What would be the biggest shocker to you from this week? I think I know what you're going to say, but what would be the biggest shocker for you? Most impressed?
How West Jones lost, right? I mean, South Jones beating them.
We didn't even talk about that. That was the final game we were supposed to talk about. West Jones and South Jones. I was shocked by that. Continue. Absolutely
shocked. Absolutely floored by that, Trellis. I could not believe that South Jones won that game. I don't know if it's on West Jones, because I'm going to be honest with you. There's 150 games going on. Someone's got to send me that tape, because I want to know what ended up happening in that game. I only have seen the score, but it makes me think that West Jones is a lot more down than we thought, and South Jones is just a lot more up.
I saw all I saw was the game-winning touchdown, and they were able to make a pass into the corner of the end zone. And listen, I could see the crowd. The place was just completely packed. It was at South Jones, I do believe. It was at South Jones, and the place was going crazy. But listen, I got to say, I wouldn't count out West Jones yet, because this might wake them up a little bit. And Coach Reynolds is a great coach. I believe that he's a great coach down there at West Jones.
He's a really good coach.
Another thing too is that they kind of run a 2 quarterback type system. They'll run out 2 quarterbacks a lot, and one of their quarterbacks, if I do believe, I think he got hurt pretty bad in the game. Which I don't. That still doesn't sound like enough for West Jones to lose to South Jones, because usually West Jones handles South Jones. But wow, I mean, listen, and that's tough for them because that's bragging rights for a whole year for the team that's in your school district. That's kind of tough.
Yeah, no, and it's been a second since they won that game. So
Yeah.
I don't know the exact year. We could probably pull it up on that website and see where they are. But it's been a second.
Yeah, no, definitely. So yeah, no, that's a big surpriser. For me, it's probably Brookhaven over Madison Central, except for that I thought that game would be close. So if you're just talking about on my predictions, I think I was the most surprised that Columbia beat Petal like that.
Wow. Okay. I mean, yeah. Again, but that's why I've moved Columbia into my best, 4A school. Even though obviously Louisville and Poplarville are the overwhelming, majority's favorites to go back. It was only, a couple of years ago Columbia was in the championship, and then about, 4 years ago that they won the title.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, well, just to update on that West Jones South Jones rivalry, the last time South Jones won was 2016. So that's nearly 10 years ago. So that's a big deal for the Braves to knock off the Mustangs like that. All right, going to turn our attention a little bit to and so just remember, hit that subscribe button to the Magnolia Shine Podcast. On Thursday, we're going to talk about Week 4. We're going to preview Week 4 right here on the podcast. So definitely like and share with anyone else who would be interested. So moving on a little bit to some college action that we had this weekend. Like you posted about this, Blake, it was a good week for Mississippi schools. And obviously Mississippi State Alcorn, it was good for Mississippi State. 63-0. You can't do any better than that, especially when Alcorn asked to get the minutes down to 10 for the third and fourth quarters. That's just not the greatest look. But Mississippi State,
they did it. I'm surprised they did it.
Like, why would I'd gotta say, I feel like that's more of a negative thing than a positive thing.
I understand the idea of trying to get through the game with less injuries and this is just an embarrassing. But other schools don't do this, and there's a lot of schools that lose 60-0 on any given weekend. You're going to see it from time to time. You play 60 minutes in football in college, so you play the 60 minutes, and I don't know what that teaches your players. When things go tough, ask the other coach to see if we can shorten the game. No, I want to get my reps, especially if I'm a backup player. Like those extra 10 minutes are for me to play.
All right,
let me get on the field.
All right, question, Blake. Do you think that Mississippi State proposed this, or do you think Alcorn did?
Well, I guess there is that other side of it of Mississippi State saying, hey, do you guys want to do this? But I guess for me, it's the fact that either Alcorn accepted or they proposed it. It doesn't really matter. The fact is they agreed.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you on that for sure. Wouldn't say that was the best look.
On Mississippi State side, I want Mario Taylor or any other player on my team to get more minutes.
Yeah, get those backups some time to play.
Yeah, like this is their game. Like this is the one chance this year. Maybe they blow out Northern Illinois, but this could have been their last chance all year for the backups to get real run in the game.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to beat Northern Illinois like they were beating Alcorn. I mean, they were just scoring touchdowns just by. I mean, it was kind of crazy there. But then talk a little Ole Miss here. Ole Miss had a good showing. I mean, defensively they didn't do much to stop Arkansas until the end.
Until they had to.
And then at the end, they shut them down and got the win there, 41-35. And so, listen, for Ole Miss, starting off 2-0 in the SEC is a big thing there.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Lane Kiffin said today that he expects Austin Simmons to be the starter this next week against Tulane. There's a lot of people that think Trinidad Chambliss should be starting for Ole Miss. I'm still rolling with Austin Simmons. I think Austin Simmons still gives him the best shot. And I kind of want to make a comment on that. Um,
Yeah,
Lane Kiffin spent the whole offseason watching these two guys play. If people think that Lane Kiffin purposely chose Austin Simmons and he was not the best quarterback in camp, you're sadly mistaken. Lane Kiffin chose
yeah, I don't think
Austin
so.
Simmons right in the preseason. And you know, and I know, Austin Simmons started this year bad. He's thrown 4 interceptions in those first 2 games. But, they were 2-0. And every time the starter ever struggles, you know who the most popular player on campus is.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
The
the
backup.
backup quarterback. Right. And I don't think Lane Kiffin, I don't think Ole Miss is at the point yet where they need to put Austin Simmons on the bench unless he's hurt. If he's hurt, then so be
Yeah,
it.
that's the
But
thing. Yeah.
right. But otherwise, Austin Simmons has deserved to keep starting.
Yeah, I would agree with you. But the big question is like, I mean, listen, he threw that one touchdown pass in the game. They threw him in there that one time, and he got a touchdown. But the thing is, like, he was obviously hobbling. Like, it was so obvious that he just really
Oh,
couldn't go. And so, like, that's a question. Like, what's good for Ole Miss fans though is that you got another good quarterback on your roster. So if he is hurt, you got somebody else who can win SEC games. And listen, Blake, these were the games that Ole Miss was losing last year. They weren't losing as much to the biggest teams. You know what I mean? They were knocking teams off. They beat Georgia last year, They were knocking teams off, but like it was the Kentuckys and the Floridas that they were losing to. This is the kind of game that Ole Miss was losing last year. So it was big for them to get this win.
yeah, right. I mean, when you give up all those points in the first half, I think people were thinking to themselves, oh, here we go with another Arkansas game where this is going to be super high scoring and we're going to lose by a point or two in a high scoring game. But yet everything settled down. And, again, we've talked about this. This is why they play 60 minutes and they don't play 30 minutes, right? And over 60 minutes, Ole Miss was a 10-point better team. I mean, they covered the spread. They were the better team.
Yeah. And so then turning our attention to a little USM, and listen, got to give the Golden Eagles some love here, man. That's a great win. They beat App State 38-22, and they beat them at home. Uh, Great way to start off Sun Belt play. And Coach Huff's got to be so relieved by that because you start the season off, you play Mississippi State, you give them a game that makes your fans proud because, it's Mississippi State. That's a tough game to play. They didn't do anything super impressive, but they did keep the game relatively in some kind of reach. Jackson State couldn't have had them feeling that great because they could have lost that game if some things didn't go their way. But then this week, they show well in that game, Blake.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think they're little USM right now. They're big USM right now. They're
Yeah.
they're, they're big Southern Miss. That was impressive. They had complete control of that game. Now, early in the game, that pick six was, definitely one that I think App State wants back, and they feel like if it doesn't happen, maybe that game looks a little bit different. But the reality is they never recovered from that moment. And Southern Miss, just super impressive 60 minutes. That was the best Southern Miss win since the second year of Will Hall. So it had been, oh man, how long since they had won an FBS game, right? Because their only win last year was an FCS opponent. So it had almost been, a year and a half, I guess, a year and 8 months, year and 9 months since they had won an FBS game. And
Yeah.
now it being a conference game and an App State team that has been good in recent years. So yeah, that was very impressive.
Yeah, definitely. And also, listen, what Southern Miss really should take from this is that they need to wear those black uniforms more often. Because those.
They are pretty good. Aren't they?
Oh, yeah. They're way better than those gold ones. Goodness gracious, man. They should wear the black ones. Oh, man. Listen, that's my strong opinion right there. So then Jackson State, I couldn't see Blake. I know Jackson State took care of business and got the win, and I'm trying to remember who it was they were playing in that game.
Tuskegee.
That's right. And so what ended up happening in that game, Blake? I wasn't able to catch it.
Well, they blew them out. They shut them out. So their defense, of course,
That's
was
good.
great again. There's no doubt that JSU has one of the best defenses in the SWAC, if not the best defense. I think that's very fair to say, and to say it nice and confidently, and that they are the overwhelming favorites to win the conference again. But you still got to play the games. Tuskegee was no match for them. I didn't even think Jackson State. I mean, I gave them an A because they blew them out, but I didn't even think Jack State has yet to play at their full ability. I can't wait till they put it fully together because there were
Yeah.
still some things that were concerning. Right, the passing offense, good, not great. The O line and some of the penalties, tough. But for the most part, they're just playing, these teams that just can't hang with them. Other than Southern Miss, and even then, like you said, they played well for the most part. It's just they ran into a team that was just up a level.
Yeah, definitely. So that'll wrap up our discussion of our show here, the Magnolia Shine Podcast. Obviously, we go Mondays and Thursdays. We'll be back on Thursday to discuss. We're gonna preview some college football. We're also gonna preview high school football right here. This is where you get the commentary on Mississippi football. Blake, we appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. And next time I won't be in the airport.
Yeah, hey, this is good to hear. But hey, we're glad to have you again. Folks, this is the Magnolia Shine Podcast. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, like the video and share it with anyone who's interested in Mississippi high school sports as well as college sports in this state. I'm Trellis Williams. Blake Levine with me now. We out.